Rockin' Crocheter and Fiber Jazz Rebecca. Take 9.
Hello.
If you could see what happens behind the scenes, it's been a rough day to get stuff filmed. Rebecca's sitting in her chair, working on her blanket. She's finishing that up. So when we go live, if she wants, she can show her the border that she's put on it and show her blanket. It's coming out really nice. What we want to do today is my subscriber Jeremy asked me to show some knitting stuff. So what I'm going to do is brush the dust off of the knitting needles, because I haven't knitted in close to 9 months because I've been crocheting. Once I started crocheting, I really fell in love with it. But before I crocheted, I was a knitter, and I still am, because knitting's good for some things. It just takes a little longer than what crochet does. So I've got needles, I've got thread, yarn, thread. I'm not sewing. I've got some yarn, I've got my needles. So give me a second. Let me switch cameras and let's get this rolling. Okay? See you in a sec. Hi everyone, and welcome back. I've got my needles. I've got some stuff to show you. As you can see, I've got like stuff laying around. So what I have in my hands are the needles that when I first learned to knit, are the needles that I started with. And these are Knitter's Pride colors. I got them at Hobby Lobby. They weren't too expensive. They actually work really well as a starter set, like to get your feet wet, to try and see if you like them. I would, after what I've learned, I would not really advise on the straight needles, but I know a lot of people use them. A lot of people like them. They're actually what I started with, and I was using them. I just felt a little constrained, and it felt a little clumsy because they're so long, and the longer the needles are, the clumsier I felt. So for a time, I wasn't using these to make knit projects with. I was actually using these to cast on, and then I would go to my circular needles. Why? It worked for me. I know that part doesn't make sense, but it did to me when I was doing it. So I started out with these, which are good. I mean, they're good needles. And then I went to these, and these are the Knitter's Pride Color Play. They're the same needles as, but these are the circulars of where'd they go? Of what these are. So they're the same. These are actually smaller needles, but they're the same needles as far as the wood. And so I went to these, and I still like these. They work really well. They feel really good in my hand. The only thing about them for me, and it got really frustrating, was this. I hate this. It's a humongous pain in the wazoo. because when you're first starting, you're like, okay, what do I do with this? Do I just like cast on stuff and use this and just leave it like that? No, you have to. What you actually have to do to get them straightened out is you have to soak them in boiling water. Being careful for the connections, because the connections will come apart. But what happens is these, once you put them in the boiling water, they'll get soft. And then once you get them soft, you pull them until you stretch them until they're straight, and then you put it under cold water and shock it, and it'll stay straight. But as you can see, once you roll them up to put them away, unless you hang them, like hang them straight, they will end up like this again. And then you have to go through the whole process all over again. If these had like cables, like the Prim has the metal, Chagu has the metal. If they had those, I would have kept with these. These I enjoyed working with. I just didn't enjoy having to fight this cable, which made it harder. And then, and also a little tip, because somebody asked about how they always have their projects falling off their knitting needles and stuff, and they were just starting. A good one to use are these, and I actually use these a lot. And as you can see, they're all different sizes. And what you do with these is, let's say you're using these needles, and you've come to the end of a row, and you got to go, drop your project and go do laundry or go do something. What you do is you just take these, you slide them onto the end of your needle, and it gives you a buffer, so that when you bump them, that's a little bit too big for that one, this one, because they come in different sizes, these tips. And so when it gives you enough buffer where your project isn't going to fall off of, okay, you're going to prove me wrong. Your project isn't going to fall off of your needle, see? So it'll slide to the end and stop on this. They will work good on the wood, on the plastic. They work good on the metal ones. And that'll stop your work from coming off your needles. I found out the hard way, as I normally do, about using these when I'm working on stuff. So that's that little part of it. So what I did was I went from these, and I had seen people talking about these, which are the Chagus. And so we were in, of course, a bougie yarn store, because y'all know I frequent those. And so what I did was I saw these in the yarn shop, and I thought, oh dang, I want to try these, because I've heard so much about them, and a lot of people use these, and so I had to give it a whirl. And as you can see, this one is twisted up because I've used it and I've put it away. This is how they come in the package. And these are the circulars that are connected. These aren't interchangeable. So these are connected to the, as you can kind of see, they're connected to the needles. So these are not interchangeable like what I'm going to show you in a second. But these have something that the other ones didn't. When I took the first needles I bought, the Chalgus, out of the package, it did this. As you can see, there is no memory. None whatsoever. Which makes it so much easier to use. I know I tested the Prim knitting needles, the ones with the funny little tip on them. And those, for a beginner that wants like circular needles, I would suggest those Prim needles because they have, it's a little thinner than what the Chalgus are, but they have the metal connecting cables on them, so they're really nice. You're not gonna be fighting the needles plus the yarn plus trying to learn the stitches plus and adding to that this crazy cable. You're not gonna have that problem. So that's why I like the Prim ones for to start as a beginner. And then if you like the Prims and you get used to the stitches and used to moving them around and all of that, then I would suggest the ones that I have, because I got these because they're actually, I like the metal and these are actually slicker. The yarn moves a lot smoother over these needles. But for a beginner, you want a little bit of you want it to drag a little bit because that it's more forgiving. Whereas these, I've slid stitches off of these and until I got used to them. And I prefer these. So I actually have a few of these that aren't interchangeable. That I bought first, and then once I used them, I'm like, you know what? I want the regular interchangeable ones in the sizes that I use all the time because I really like these. And for me, it was the part that it doesn't have a memory to it. So I started with these because this was a cheaper option just to get started with them and just to get going, like just to see how they feel, and if I would really like them. And once I started using these, that was it for me, because I'm a musician. I play guitar, and it's, from guitar to guitar, you have a different feel of the guitar. And these felt, really good in my hands. And I like the way, they're easy. They're easy on my hands to hold. And, I really liked them. So I know that's a glowing review of the Chagu ones. But, I mean, you have to make up your own mind. I would say try out a few different needles, because what feels good to me may not feel good to you, or may not work for you. So I would say, try out, get like, if you want the circulars, get a few different ones like this. Like the Addies come like this too. There's wooden ones that come like this. There's like, different brands until you find the one that works best for you. Chagus just happened to work best for me. So I went from those to the little box or my little bag. And these are my Chagus. But my set, I didn't get like the whole complete set. The set that I got, let me grab my other ones because these are the 11s. So the set that I got was from 9 to 15. And those were the sizes that I tended to use the most. I do have like the shorter ones for doing hats. This one is a size... come on, where are you? Okay, we're not going to play nice. So these are the smaller ones. You get the shorter ones work really well for hats, whereas the longer ones, to get it around, it's not as easy. I mean, you can, but the shorter, like these are US, these are 10. To get them around like a hat, like if you're knitting in the round, the shorter ones work better for different projects. So I've got some of those, but this is the core ones that I got. Just because, like I said, these are the sizes 9 through 15 that I use all the time. So to me, this is the set. And then it came with the needles. It came with the connector. This is one of the smaller ones. But it also has, see how they're twisted on. So it came with other. This came. It didn't come with all of this. A lot of this stuff is stuff that I've picked up. These are connectors to go from the smaller cables to the bigger cables. And these are, you can see it's like 2 little screws. These are connects if you want to connect the cables to make them longer. These are the actual connection to the needle. So for those smaller ones, you have to use these, because that's the thing with the Chagus is 9 through 15. They use one size connector, little end, and then from 9 down, they use another size, and that's one of the reasons why I got these. Also, because I didn't want to all the connecting different cables and all that stuff. So this is kind of what it came with, and it comes with the connector to extend these cables. But those were the cables that it actually came with, and you can see they don't have any memory, and they've been sitting in my Chagu case, and they don't, like I said, they don't have a memory, which is so cool. So I've got those. So those came with it. These two I bought separate, because this is a 50-inch Well, both of these are 50-inch. But see, small and large. So when I bought these, I'm like, oh, shiitake mushrooms, because if you look at the connectors, see, you can see between the two connectors on both of these, this one's smaller and this one's bigger. So this is actually for the smaller needles and this is for the bigger needles. So I did a little bit of a bonehead thing. So that's why I bought the adapters so I could actually use that cord. Then it also comes with these little nifty stitch markers. I haven't used those yet. This is what they see. There's the connectors that they give you. That's the little connector to make the cords bigger. And then they give you these lovely straight pins. And what those are for is with the chagus, these will go through like so, and then you just twist them off. And that's how you take them. That's how you take, at least for the chagus and for the knitter's pride. They come off. They come on and off like that. So you use this to tighten it down. Not very glamorous, but that's how it works. So let's say the neat thing with these is, and this is with any circulars, it doesn't have to be chagu. The knitter's pride have a different stopper. So let's say you're gonna set this project, your whip, aside for a bit. So what you can do is take that off, and for the chagus, they have these neat stoppers. So you put those stoppers on either end where your needles would be, and your project won't fall off of the cable. So it's not going to go anywhere. So then when you want to get, back to working on that whip again, you just do them. You back them out the same way. Put the straight pin in without poking yourself. And they come right off. Oop. Oh man, I'm a klutz sometimes. So, ow, and that's sharp. So let me put these in here real quick. Put that in there before I lose it. Leave one of those out. Let me grab my needles that were on the floor. So those are the things I used to knit with. Let me grab my. I just dropped my needles. Sorry, guys. I know that was a beautiful view of the table. So let me put this back on. And these just screw right back in. So when you start your project again, you screw them back in. Tighten them up. And you're ready to rock and roll. So there we go. So all of a sudden, the yarn shows up. The yarn wants to be included in the party. So I use the long tail cast on. It's a very common cast on. So you want to have, okay, when you cast on, you want to have your tail on your side towards you, and then the yarn going to the yarn cake, going away from you. So what you're going to do is, so you have your tail. What I like to do is I'll put like a little bit of a loop here. You know, leave a little bit of a little extra on the a little extra little tail. Make my loop. So now you have your loop on the needle. Now let's say you have to cast on like 10 stitches. So what I would do is hold this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm holding it here. So now you have enough, you've measured out enough yarn to do your cast on, because you're not pulling it from the ball to begin with, you're pulling it from the tail. That's why they call it a long tail cast on. So now that you've got your length that will work for the number of stitches you're casting on, I go like a little more, just because that's me. Make my loop. So you have your loop. Put your loop through. So this is your tail. This is your working yarn. Okay? So you have it on your needle. So this is the tail. So you tighten that down. A lot of people, I know you can look up long tail cast on, and there's a bunch of different ways to hold the yarn and to do it, and this is just what works best for me. So basically, so you have your yarn on your needle, and you're thinking, oh geez, what do I and you look at it, and your loop is backwards, and you have your yarn reversed, and you think, oh no. All you do is you slide it off, flip it around. Now your working yarn is away from you, and your tail is toward you. So you have it correct on your needle. Okay. There was one where they were showing it, clip it here between your fingers and then do this thing, and I'm not coordinated enough. Like, I'm the caveman. Caveman style. So what I do is I hold it like this, instead of between my fingers like some people show. I hold it in my hand like this, and then what I do is you take your first finger and your thumb, and you spread it out. You spread it out, and you make a triangle. So holding on to this one, holding on to the one, because see, on the chagus, it's slippery. On the wooden ones, it's not the same. So what you do is you hold on to this, and then you go to your thumb through, and then through that back. So you're like this, back through both loops, and now you have 2 stitches. So now you go back to your thumb, go across to your finger, and then you have a knot. I'm doing this slow, and I'm here we go. So you go to your thumb, through to your finger, grabbing the yarn, and then sorry guys, I typically do this quickly, and it's not. So see, this is the way I hold it. So you go here to your thumb, around behind your finger, the line, and there. So now you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whoop. Like I said, over, around this one, and then through both of them, and then just pull it up. I tend to knit a little tight, so I know these are going to be. So see, your tail has shortened up because these are the stitches you're actually casting on to your needle. So now that you have a few stitches on, and you want to do your first row, and your first row is going to be a knit stitch. Yeah, I'm not the most elegant, so I apologize. So 1, 2, So you get down to your last stitch. So there you have the row. Typically on the first stitch of the row, I learned this. I was watching. I know I've said I've watched So Woolly, and her channel's really a wealth of information as far as knitting goes. There's a lot of other channels out there, but I tended to really, for me, it was easier to learn the way she was explaining it. So, and I learned this little trick. So from here, you've got your stitches on there. And what you do is on the last stitch, you go through, instead of going through the front loop, you go through the back loop. And what that does is it makes your stitch, that last stitch, tight, so it's not loose and just like dangling. And then you go back to, you know, your the back, the other side of your work. And off you go again. So there you go. Now, oh dang. So, and there you go. Easy peasy. And there you have it. So you have your cast on row and then one row. So cool beans. And then, you know, if you want to just keep going, if you're just starting and you just, you know, keep going, this will actually work up. I know the really good knitters are looking at what I'm doing and going, what the heck? But this was the way it was most comfortable for me. So there you go. So there you have it. That's how to cast long tail cast on, and then the knit stitch. These need to be tightened up a little bit. So there you have it. So there you go. So let me switch this. Let me switch this around, and if you have any questions or any comments, just let me know. I know this isn't the most elegant knitting tutorial, but that's the way I knit. So I'm an English thrower. So there you go. So let me bounce back to the. Oh, I do have a little bit of a crochet thing to show. I have been working on the shawl for my godmother, and I've gotten to the red in the cake. So that's where I am now. So I've been working diligently. I will say this, with the sport weight, this takes longer. This takes way longer than it did on my other ones using, for weight. So I'm plugging along, but that's where I am, and this is where I am in the cake. And then there's the hook I'm using, which is a 5 furls cookies and cream hook. I was working on this last weekend because I want to get this done, but it with the, like I said, with the sport weight, you can see how much I've done. It's going to be a good size. It's going to be a really good size shawl. But it's coming out. I think it's coming out really pretty. I really like the colors in it. Rena, you worked some magic. The colors are really, really nice. So with that, let me switch the camera around. We'll see you guys in a sec. Hello everyone, I'm back. Don't forget these. If you're starting knitting, even if you're not, even if you've been knitting for a while, these, I recommend these so your projects don't fall off of your needles. These work really well. So, let me put these over here. Then, of course, I think you guys have seen that the Thursday Live is going to be bomb. Michi was kind enough to say that she would come in and visit with us. So, we're going to talk yarn and hooks and licorice and candy and German food and maybe some soccer, because I'm a huge soccer fan. But it should be a blast. Michi is she's the coolest. So Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. We're gonna come on live like we always do, and Michi will be our guest, and Fiber Jazz Rebecca and I are both gonna be on, and we're both gonna talk to Michi and just have a really good conversation. So, try not to miss it. I mean, you can watch the replay, but you know, if you like the content and you like what Rebecca and I are doing, please give us the thummies, and also please subscribe. We would appreciate it. Okay, and with that, I've actually got to cake up some yarn and get working on the blanket again, on Patrick's blanket, the bougie blanket, because I've got this much done so far. So I have 3 more rows of black. Let's see, 1, 2, yeah, 3 more rows of black, and then I start again with the virus pattern to make the kaleidoscope sides to the diamond. So I got to get working on that and working on that shawl. And so let me get out of here and get working on that. And we'll see you guys on Thursday. Take care, everyone. Have a good rest of the week. Have a good Wednesday. And we shall see you guys later. Take care, everyone. We'll see you on Thursday.